So after watching my previous Doujin Music 101 video, I felt that I should have gone a little more in depth about Doujin Music uploaders and the issues surrounding their channels. So with that said, this video will be sort of an add-on to the previous Doujin Music video that I did. In case any of you haven't seen my previous Doujin Music 101 video, I'll just reiterate the basic gist of what Doujin Music is. It's basically music produced by these small indie bands, or circles as they're more commonly called. And these circles produce songs that are remixes of the ever so popular Toho Project soundtrack. The genres of music that these circles produce is nothing short of extensive. You got synthwave, funk, new disco, metal rock, soft rock, folk, jazz, and well, much more. And if you want to learn more, then just watch my previous video. So now I'm gonna start hitting on Doujin Music channels and, talking briefly about what they are, because I did explain that in my previous video as well, but I'm gonna again reiterate for those who didn't watch my previous video or just don't know. And then we're gonna start talking about the issues surrounding those channels. So as a quick rundown for anyone who didn't see my previous Doujin Music video, Doujin Music uploading channels, as you could probably tell from the name, are just YouTube channels that exclusively or almost exclusively upload Doujin Music. And you got channels like Phoenix Kapashiro, Alice Margatroyd, and Amy with 2 M's that upload a plethora of Doujin music, as well as some original works from various arrangers like Isna and Camellia. So when it comes to these kinds of channels, most of you must be thinking, wow, you're telling me I could just go onto YouTube, check out some of these channels, and I'll have free, unlimited access to a bunch of Doujin music instead of having to buy a bunch of albums? Well, that sounds pretty sweet. And on the surface, it is. You're getting a bunch of awesome content for free, but of course, as you know, or hopefully you know, nothing in life is actually free, and it should obviously follow that someone is getting the short end of the stick. And this is where these channels kind of enter the sort of gray zone of ethics. On one hand, you could think that Doujin Music channels, especially those that post a lot of songs, are harmful to circles, since there's a way to listen to this kind of content for free. The incentive to try and get a physical copy of an album or even a digital copy is kind of lost. And this obviously leads to a loss in sales to the circles that you love so much. While I think most circles aren't really motivated by profits alone, I'm sure that circles would at least appreciate, getting some monetary return for their efforts when they do what they do. And if they aren't getting that, then some artists may just think, well, my work just keeps getting pirated, I'm not getting any money out of this, and so why should I even continue? And they'll just fold. And that is obviously pretty bad. So before I get into this next point, I would just like to preface this by saying I am not a copyright law expert. I do not know much about copyright, and especially when you're dealing with 2 different countries which may have different copyright laws. So with that said, take what I say with a relatively large grain of salt. Just a quick little interruption here. For anyone who's watched Konosuba before, this next song's for you. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is that it is possible to argue that Doujin Music channels shouldn't really have existed for as long as they have, since they're constantly breaching copyright laws and fair use. They're uploading content made by other people, most likely without their consent, and the content itself isn't really transformative for the most part, since it's really just putting music over a relevant image. And I would have to say this is actually kind of true. There have been circles that don't take too kindly to the works being uploaded, one such circle being A1. And if a circle catches you posting their work when they don't really want that happening, they're in their rights to at least request the removal of that piece of content. But if you ask me, I find that while the copyright argument is definitely a valid point, fair use isn't exactly relevant, even though it may be applicable. Sure, the content isn't exactly revolutionary, but come on, there's only so much you can do if you just want to post some music to share with others. You're not going to make an entire custom, animation just for one song. But on the other hand, people could think that Doujin Music channels are actually beneficial to circles. Now, I'm pretty sure that before Doujin Music channels were popular, circles didn't really realize they had an audience outside of Japan. This made it kind of hard to purchase Doujin music outside of Japan, since there were pretty much no circles that offered international shipping for their albums. As a result, those who wanted to listen to Doujin music would have to go to YouTube in order to get their fix. And this is where Doujin music channels come into play. While there are circles that don't appreciate the works being uploaded online, other circles took these channels as a cue that they should offer international purchasing options for their albums. This is obviously beneficial for overseas listeners since they can now support their favorite artists. So circles like Felt, Zytokin, I don't know how to pronounce that name, anyways, Soundholic, Arno, and Hatsune Tsumiko's are a few examples of circles who now provide international shipping options for their albums when they didn't really do that before. And if you ask me, I would say that Doujin music channels had a large role to play in this development, since, like I said before, some or most circles probably didn't even realize they had an international audience. Now, just to be clear, this is my own speculation. I don't know if Doujin music channels were actually the reason that these circles started offering international shipping. The reason for them doing that could be completely unrelated to these Doujin music channels. This is all just my own little educated guess as to why these circles started providing international shipping. So in short, Doujin music channels aren't inherently good or bad, it just really depends on how you look at it. As for the ways to obtain Doujin music albums, it's pretty much just a repeat from my previous video, but I'll save you some time and just reiterate here. Some circles may host their albums online and allow users to purchase a digital copy of their albums. One example I can think of is ShibayanRecords and their booth.pm page, which I will link down below. Then there's Melonbooks DL, our second digital distribution platform, and this site hosts digital copies of various albums from various artists. As far as I know, they had a mix of old and new albums, so it's alright for most cases. But their album listings may be a little lacking in certain circles. I remember that Felt had their earliest albums listed on there, but nothing newer than Flower Flag. But let's say you want a physical copy of your favorite albums, you aren't satisfied with just a digital copy, and in that case, don't worry, there are plenty of ways to do that. First one is proxy shopping, and the surface level definition of it is that you pay someone in Japan to purchase your desired product, and then they ship it to you. This method is known to be on the pricey side though, so for those on a budget, it really isn't a good choice. But don't worry, as this isn't your only way of getting physical albums. There are two other websites I know of that do international shipping, and they are DiverseDirect and BuyDoujin.com. While I'm not sure about the shipping costs on DiverseDirect, on BuyDoujin, I would say that the shipping costs are pretty good as far as international shipping goes. But do keep in mind that when international orders are made, they may be subject to import taxes, so consider that when deciding on your purchase. Now, DiverseDirect and BuyDoujin.com are by no means the only sites that do international shipping for music albums. I'm pretty sure there's CD Japan, although I don't know if circles really use CD Japan. But I guess that's it for now, so I'll try and revisit the topic of Doujin music later on, but for now, I'm gonna try and maybe span out to other topics. I was thinking about doing stuff related to Unreal Engine 4 because I've been using that for a little while, and maybe I thought I would have some things to maybe talk about or teach, in case anyone was wondering about them. So we'll see about that. And as usual, if you feel like my content is worth supporting, you can like, comment, and subscribe, or you can go on about your day and that'd be perfectly fine. Anyways, I'll see you guys around.